Practice of Podcast Evolved, part of Evolved, your home for Halo. Podcast Evolved hopes original lore series and recaps last month's Halo news as a whole bunch of other stuff that we do, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Today, I'm your host, David, and with me is Steve. Hey, Steve, how you doing, man?
Hey, once again.
Welcome back, Steve. Welcome back. Today, we are going to cover a whole lot of stuff, because we haven't done a news show in some time, so I haven't gone back too far, because I know some of this stuff is kind of out of date. That's kind of my bad. But we have a chunky enough show with the stuff that we have, but nothing incredibly major that you're probably not already aware of if you're a listener. So join us on this little ride. Before we get started, I'm going to say welcome to the show. This is Podcast Evolved, so we do a whole bunch of like lore series. We talk about the Halo games, as you imagine. We have other sub shows that we do with various Halo content, Mission Debrief, Builds of Blocks, HS Pro Talk, Halo TV Plus, and Halo Book Club, to name but a few. You can learn about all of our shows at our website, which is now haloevolved.co. We couldn't get the last M. Some sneaky bastards are sitting on it, so we're haloevolved.co is our main website. You can go and check everything that you could possibly want to know about us is over there. All of our shows. It's a pretty dope website that Ian made, so go check it out. We have a Patreons that is keeping us going. So with these guys, always get a shout out because you're a bunch of crazy people. Thank you all so much for keeping us going. If you're not subscribed, guys, go check us out. We get exclusive rewards. You get some early episodes. We have swag. We have our own podcast soundtrack, which is pretty damn dope. And our own podcast exclusive show for patrons, which is I Would Have Been Your Podcast. You should check that out. It kind of gets run by Ian. It's kind of off topics kind of stuff. There can be all sorts of shenanigans going on over there. So again, if you want to know more, that's patreon.com/HaloEvolved. And also, if you want to support us, there is an Audible trial link, which is audibletrial.com/podcastevolved. They have all the Halo novels. They have a whole bunch of stuff, not Halo related, obviously. So if you want to learn more, go check that out. That's audibletrial.com/podcastevolved. Okay, Steve, it's been a little while since we spoke. What have you been up to Halo-wise? Because I know between me and you, and maybe even Oren, we're probably the only ones playing Halo in any way consistently at the moment. So what have you been up to? You've been grinding out stuff over there, I hear.
Yeah, I've been playing pretty often. I'm not sinking a ton of hours in on a daily basis, but I've been hitting all my weekly challenges. I wanted to get those silver team helmets and the Jerome coating palette that we got, that olive with the green splattered in a couple spots, splashed in a couple
How do you get
spots.
Jerome's color? Was that one of the unique?
That was one of the weekly rewards. They did that after they did Kai and Riz before they did Vanek, because of the way they wanted to, the way they strung it out and skipped a week to do Vanek's helmet until his little episode.
Yeah.
It was a little cheeky, and I guess they just sprinkled that one in there to hold us over for a week.
That's a cool one. I wish I had got that one. I wasn't paying attention, but that's pretty cool.
Oh, hopefully it'll come around again at some point.
They might. Yeah, that's true. Some of these stuff come back. The weekly rewards, they do bring them back in eventually.
Sometimes they bring them back, and they've talked about, some sort of token Spartan point store. We keep bringing up that they've mentioned it. Not that much time has actually passed since we keep mentioning it, but hopefully that's still in the works in some way or another.
That's true.
Outside of the weekly rewards, I finished all my passes. Those go pretty quickly nowadays. I've been grinding out my career progression, trying to hit up into platinum rank. I'm just at the end of gold. I got like a couple stages of general left.
That's pretty dope, man. Fair play.
To do that.
I don't even know what I am.
And it's tough keeping track. They don't like throw it up in your face. And then they've got like the different stages of each rank as well. There's like 4, 5, 6 substations of it or something, sub-stages, where it's like General 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before it goes up to the next one. So it's rough keeping track of that. I use the Spartan Records website. Maybe we'll post a link to it somewhere on one of our socials. That's a good idea. Yeah. But it tells you like how much XP and like a rough match estimate till whichever rank you want to look at. So I can see how much maybe I have to play until I finally get up into platinum, or how much I'm going to have to play till I hit that maximum rank. I don't even want to look at that number. That's a scary number.
That's probably a good idea. Ignorance
I'm
is
like
bliss.
15 matches away from hitting platinum, and I'm like, all right, that's a good number. I'll take it in little snippets like that and set a goal and do that over the course of like 2 days, maybe 3 days, depending on what the schedule is like. I've been playing the Pro Talk play dates as well.
Oh,
so
nicely done.
we do a lot of socials with that. You don't end up getting a lot of progress with that, but there's a whole other group of fun to be had.
That's
there.
true enough. That's true enough. I've been playing a little bit. Mostly it's kind of social stuff actually, but with a little bit of the introduction of Firefight was something I should have been aware of and wasn't. So I was kind of very late to the game there. But that pretty much reawakened the interest in my two younger brothers, who were kind of big Halo fans back in the day, but kind of really lapsed. They don't play it too much. But it's actually been a great way since we kind of live in separate places now. My youngest brother's in another country. So we're trying to kind of organize something that we do together. So it actually, naturally enough, lined up quite well with me discovering that Firefight exists. So my two brothers have been getting online. One's playing on PC and one's on his Xbox. And we just get in a team together and just talk shit and play Firefight. And it's been really good fun. I have to say,
I'm sure with you guys spread out as far as you are too, it makes it a little more difficult to play regular PvP matchmaking. I bet you guys get a little bit of latency here and there between each other. That's probably a little easier to mitigate. It's Firefight, or easier.
The few games that we've played have been absolutely flawless. I have to say the game is running really, really well for us.
They've done a great job tuning the back end ever since they started really updating.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's excellent. Do you know what I mean? I think it's very well done. I'm very, very happy with how it's been running, to be perfectly honest. So that's kind of great shit. So we've just been doing that. What else we do? What else are we doing? That's kind of stuff.
I've been playing a lot of Husky Raid.
What is that? I've seen that in the playlist kind of thing, but not
it's basically it's Fiesta CTF, but the maps are all just basically straight single lane right at each other.
Fiesta. Hot damn.
It's basically just like a hallway or 2 or 3 hallways with maybe a dip in the middle or a blockage, and you just run straight at each other and grab the flag and run back. And it's chaos, but it's great for doing all of your weekly challenges. Maybe if you get like a weapon-specific challenge, I don't remember if we still get those that often, but like generally the Fiesta mode with all the different weapon types, all the different equipment dropping, it gives you a chance to knock out tons of challenges, do all your cumulative score, get sprees, that kind of stuff.
Perfect.
Makes it really easy. Cool. And the matches go fast for the most part, unless you hit some kind of weird stalemate.
Yeah. One of the random games I did was like a Super Fiesta with my brother a few weeks back, just to get him back into it, because he'd never done it before. And I was like, Fiesta's crazy fun. You just have to not give a shit and just see what kind of mental weapons you get. And then obviously just weapons end up scattered all over the map. So it's great fun. I have to say, I've always... But a mode based on that with CTF, that seems really interesting. I'm definitely going to check that out.
And it's always a good way to get more familiar, more comfortable with weapons that maybe you didn't like before because you're getting forced to use them. I know that plasma rifle repeater, whatever they want to call it in this game, nobody likes that thing. It's got a range where it melts for sure, but I find myself being forced to use it a lot more in modes like Husky Raid. And stuff like that shows you where a gun like that will really shine, and you can get some good use experience under your belt for when it pops up in a regular matchmaking time period.
That's a good point, actually.
It's great. I've gotten so much. I get plasma pistol kills all the time now, and I never pick it up, but when you're forced to use it in Fiesta modes, because you keep getting spawned with a plasma pistol and a disruptor 3 or 4 times in a row or some shit. By the time you get to it in regular matchmaking, like, I'll pick it up. Why
I know
not?
what to do with this. Yeah,
see what happens. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And other than that, I think we're both doing the same thing. So we're both watching the Halo TV show, season 2, and I think it's taken a lot of people, impressed a lot of people. I'd say a lot of people seem pretty impressed with the changes of how the show is from season 1 to season 2, and I'm really, really digging it. I know the last episode was a bit of a slow. I think we knew it was going to be a slow episode. And I know, Steve, you have strong opinions on the show, but overall, I think you're enjoying it as much as I am. I take it, are you?
Oh yeah, I'm loving this season so much more than last season. I think nobody expected them to heel turn as hard as they did after that more generic sci-fi show kind of feel we had for the first season, and turn about right into lots of core canon adjacent material. I didn't expect them to go that hard with it. And while there's still not a lot of stuff, or a lot of stuff that doesn't quite line up, it parallels a hell of a lot more than what we were getting before. And I'm down for it.
Yeah, I think like a heel turn, that's the way to put it. Like that generic show we got to now, okay, here's Fall of Reach. That seems wild. But it does seem to connect really well in the first episode on how they transition us into like a show that has like a slightly different vibe. And some characters behaving slightly differently, but and even looking differently. But no, I'm loving it. I mean, even just the excitement we got over the episode names. Like I don't even think I was aware of episode names in season 1, but season 2 when they dropped out, I was like, then you immediately start thinking about, oh my god, look at these places we're going to, the things that are happening. So we won't spoil anything here. All of our thoughts are in Halo TV Plus. I know you've done an episode, Steve, of Halo TV Plus so far. Have you? Have you done one? You have.
Yeah,
yes.
I did episode 3.
Okay, great. That actually is the one I listened to, so I should remember that.
I did episode 3, and then I was so mad the next week when episode 4 came out, and it was such a banger.
Yeah, it was.
It's like, why couldn't I have gone 1 week later?
It was good. I mean, yeah, for sure. I'm very excited to see where the show goes. So let's get ourselves into some monthly news. But I say monthly, but we know it's a quarter. I don't know what it is, but here's some news for you guys. Winter news, yeah.
We're just about at the end of winter. We're about to head into spring, like a month from now or so, month and a half, something like that. So we'll call it our winter coverage.
That's it.
Our winter contingency, if you will.
Ooh, I like it. So right now, obviously, Halo Infinite has gone through a lot of changes. One of the most recent ones, I say recent, was January 3rd, is the way they've started their rotation of operations now, where we no longer have seasons. So the Spirit of Fire operation is still ongoing as of recording. I'll probably get this episode out, and that actually operation will be finished by then, I think. So you got the Mark 4 armor core for free, which is the biggest thing for me. I absolutely love that armor core, so I'm very happy with it.
It looks so good,
man. It's the one I really wanted. So I worked hard on the Noble kind of pass just to get George's armor so that I could look like a Spartan 2. And I've been rocking that ever since. But going to like the Spartan 4 core has been really, really fun. I love it.
The Mark 4 core going to real OG Spartan 2 territory. You can go big and chunky like you want to. Be a walking tank.
That's what I have in my mind is that I want. So there was a whole bunch of other stuff. There was obviously premium options that had like different model weapons. You can turn your assault rifle into the old school one from Halo CE. And I looked at this for the longest time, Steve, and then caved last week and bought it. So I bought like my first ever, I think, transaction of whatever that currency is called. I can't even remember what it's called.
I think they're Spartan points
so
of some
I bought
sort,
something,
credits.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It was about €5, which is roughly about $5, I say, at this stage that I bought it. And just because I love that weapon skin so much, and I'm just so happy. And I justified it to myself where like I've not spent any money on Halo Infinite, so I'm like, come on, it's okay. You can spend some money on a skin. It's fine.
Do you have the Microsoft points system like in your region? Is that a thing you can do there? I don't know if it's region.
It used to be. We used to have Microsoft points. I don't know if it's still a currency anymore. I think that's gone. I think everything's in euros now. You just buy money. You don't have a wallet anymore.
Oh, that's interesting. Because like I know over here where we're at, you can do Microsoft points, and it goes through both the Game Pass app, like on your phone and on PC, as well as like the Bing app. It's all tied in with like Microsoft core systems, so it's tied into Bing and what have you. So like you can open up the Bing app on your phone, it'll give you a bunch of tasks for a couple of points a day, and you get streaks that you could build up, and then you can also do it through the Game Pass.
Yeah,
app.
that's
and
the
then you
rewards.
can convert that into
that's here. Microsoft rewards. Yeah.
Yeah, so I stay on top of that.
Ooh.
I stay on top of that. Like it takes, your coffee break in the morning, you could sit there and do like the quiz and look at all the random stuff they want you to see. Like, oh, this is a place in the world we're looking at historically today. You click on it, scroll for a minute, a couple easy points. But it stacks up to a few dollars here and there. And before you know it, you got $25 in Microsoft Store money just chilling there that isn't coming out of your pocket.
That's really cool. I like that a lot. That's really cool.
That's how I get my Halo armor. Like, from stuff in the shop, I don't buy a lot. I'll buy a little bit here and there, but it always comes out of Microsoft points. I don't pay out of pocket for it. I don't need to dip into my wallet for some cosmetics.
You're a clever, savvy man, Steve. That's pretty good stuff. That's a top tip for you guys out there. grind, grind this fake currency and get some free shit.
Well, and I mean, if you're buying games, like if you buy your games digitally and you go right through the Microsoft store and buy it, or buy it right off the Xbox store, it rebates some of that money right back into your Microsoft Rewards account. So if you buy a lot of games, why not get some of that money back?
That makes sense. That does make sense. I'm signed up for it, so I get the messages every now and again saying, "Oh, you're so many percentages towards getting a money off
Your goal."
Yeah.
The last time you looked at it and you're like, "Oh, I could get a $10 Xbox card. Sure, I'll set that as my goal. I'm 2,000 points away from that." And then you forget about it for a few months, and then you see something you want. And you're like, "I don't want to spend money on it." And then you remember, you're like, "Oh, wait. I wonder if I could just go do a little bit more grinding on those rewards points for the next couple of days and have that thing I want without paying for it."
Hell yeah. Love free shit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, with that content update, I also brought a new map, Illusion. I've only played about 1 or 2 games on it. It's pretty cool. I don't know if you've played it. It has, like, the strip of, like, stealth camo field, essentially, down the middle of it. So you step into the middle of this map and you're invisible. And
I didn't actually play that map
yeah,
at all
it's
yet.
pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I played like a couple of CTF games on it. I think maybe 2. I say a couple. It was great fun. It was a well-designed map with this kind of like it's an arena-style map that just has this long corridor going from one base to the other that you can see down. But when you step in, you're invisible.
Did we get an Illusion 24/7
There was.
playlist when it initially
There
dropped?
was, yeah.
There was? Okay. I know I wasn't playing that bit when I was playing. I was trying to grind out some other way at the time. And when I finally decided, like, oh man, I haven't played this map, I really need to try it, that playlist wasn't there anymore. And it just hasn't come up naturally in matchmaking for me yet.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I wonder what it's in. It's probably in the small arena games. But I'm sure
maybe I could just cave and go fly around it and forge real quick too.
That's true. So a new Halo Point Chronicle came out. These are the short stories that I've been putting out in Halo Waypoint, audiobooks and stuff like that. So the most recent one, it's not the most recent one, I suppose. It's called Hippocratica. Here's the kind of blurb for it. So 2560, Adam Andrews, the CEO of Interstellar Corporation, enumerates upon the Covenant invasion of Arcadia. So facing certain death until the timely arrival of the UNSC Spirit of Fire. So obviously this was released in line with Operation the Spirit of Fire, so it's kind of cool. I haven't listened to this one yet as of recording. It's the next one on my to-do list. So that's pretty cool. Steve, I don't know if have you been listening to these Waypoint audiobooks? There's been a few of them now.
I haven't listened to this one in particular. I know they've been dropping them relatively often now.
They're
I guess
hit and
this
miss.
is our new.
They're hit and miss.
Yeah, I guess this is their new way of dropping story bits on us since they aren't doing them in game anymore. Yeah. Remember, they finally announced, like, all right, we're just not going to do these little story cutscenes and what have you when we do our content drops.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think this is the substitute for it. I did those couple that came out around the end of last year, but I haven't listened to this one in particular.
Okay. Yeah, me neither. But I'm looking forward to it anyway. It's a good, solid, chunky one anyway. I think it's about 20-25 minutes. Some of these tend to come out around that time.
I think I'm waiting for our episode on it so I can just listen to that.
Probably a good call. That's probably a good call. There was a Black History Month that was done, so a special visor and coding was put out, as well as an emblem for Spartan's customization. So you got that for free just for logging in the month of February. So sorry if you're listening now and you missed out. But you most likely didn't.
And now we're just getting
Women's History Month is just out. Yeah, I have that down the end. It's the most current one. There was a kind of another free bundle I did, which was the Dragon bundle. I think it's the Year of the Dragon at the moment. So they'd put out like
Lunar New Year.
Like a Lunar New Year kind of emblem and a few kind of a little weapon emblem and stuff like that came out. So that was there. That was free. I think that's still available actually.
Yeah, last I looked, I think it was last night. It still happened to be there, and we're on a Sunday right now. Who knows if it'll still be there when this releases?
That's true.
But.
That's true, but it might be there. What else have we got? The various silver debriefs, or I should mention that. So every episode of the Halo TV show comes with a silver debrief that gets put out. It's pretty much a summary of the episode. There isn't anything unique to them. It's just a little bit of a wrap up. If you wanted to go back and not watch the last episode and just get a quick revision, it's handy for that. Touches on the main events of the show. As Steve kind of mentioned, they've been putting out helmets and stuff like that as part of the rewards, so it's probably too late to get a lot of them, but I think, Steve, you got them all. So they had Kai, they had Riz, and they had Vanix helmets were all out as kind of the ultimate rewards every week.
Yep. and each of them had like their own attachment as well.
that's
I think
cool.
Vanek even had 2 attachments. So like he's got the EOD helmet without those mutton chop bracers or whatever along the jawline, and you can add them on, and they're a little smaller than the classic Reach EOD ones, but the base helmet model is still basically that Reach helmet model. So if you want that Reach EOD without quite as big blockers on the jawlines, you get little smaller ones on the Vanek.
That's pretty good. And obviously they're all cross-core, which is very handy. So you can put them
Oh, it's wonderful.
So there was a community corner. One of the most recent ones was on Eva Forerunner fan art. Essentially, this person called Isodidactica. It was kind of interesting. I kind of skimmed it a little bit. So it's a person, a girl who kind of does a lot of fan art on Forerunners kind of stuff, and some of it's really nice. So she was interviewed essentially and assessed in the community corner, so which was nice. Big Team Battle, which is one of my favorite modes, but it's actually still mental. So that got a refresh. It had 5 new maps, kind of community maps. So I want to shout out Refuge, which is a Halo 2 map that was called Headlong, and that came out on the DLC disc that you had to go to the shop and buy. The multiplayer kind of.
Oh, the good old days.
So I love that map, Headlong. I played so many games on it. So Refuge is essentially an up-to-date version of that, and it plays really nice, plays really well. It's crazy chaotic if you're in Big Team, as you can imagine. So I had a great time in that map, so I'm just shouting out there. There's a few other ones. I'm going to kind of skim them. There's Fortitude, Insolence, Obituary, Refuge, like I mentioned, and Thunderhead. So those are all. They have a small little bit of lore to them. Thunderhead is one I haven't done, but it sounds kind of cool. It's a Banshee kind of spawning one, so a lot of kind of aerial combat involved in it, so I kind of like the sound of it. Steve, I don't know, do you play much Big Team Battle?
I play a fair amount of Big Team Battle. I've played a few of these maps. I don't remember which one is which, and I really hate that, like, for some reason, when you pause a match in Infinite, it doesn't just tell you the name of the map and the game type and stuff.
That would have been nice.
And easy in the middle of the screen. But it was one of those things where I'm trying to focus on the game type, or I went in there with, I think it was the Vanek Ultimate Challenge, was getting a splatter. So I went in there trying to find vehicles and get splatters. And the first challenge was I didn't know where any of the vehicles were because I didn't know any of the maps. And then the second challenge was that everybody else was also looking for vehicles, so there weren't any available. And then I couldn't hunt anybody down because I still didn't know the maps.
They can be hard to get to know, especially they're so chaotic because you drop into them and you don't know where anything is. So it can be tough, especially if you're playing by yourself.
And if they've changed the aesthetic at all, then you kind of lose some of those visual markers until you get some sort of bird's eye view on the map. That's
true. I say the map that I played, Refuge, it was very true. Like the vehicles spawned in the same places, weapons were in the same places. So you kind of got to it pretty quick. Some of it I didn't really remember, but like the main layout of the map is still quite familiar. So fair play. What let's say? Okay, there was a cannon fodder. There's 2 at the moment. I'll touch on the first one here. This was issue 149. So they talked about a lot of their characters that came out in the Halo Waypoint Chronicles. So they touched upon some of the brand new ones. Some of them have been around for ages, but you haven't really gotten that much in it. So they introduced a whole bunch of them. So you had Alina Barbaroff, who appeared in Trials of Reckoning. Arkard Nulkul, who appeared in the Battle for Blood Moon. There was Dib, who was in the Battle for Blood Moon. They had Dax, Fal, Orum. They were all Blood Moon characters. So that's a book club we did most recently with myself and Ian. So that was actually quite interesting. Those characters are kind of cool too. So it's got to see them fleshed out. There was Fire Team Germundo, who are also from Blood Moon. That's a Spartan Spire team that are assigned to the Swords of Sanghelios. And they all have kind of like, they were giving them kind of Sangheli names, essentially like little nicknames so they could fit in. So that they were kind of cool. It was kind of interesting to see that kind of how Spartans and Sangheli and even Kagars are getting on in a military exercise together. So it's pretty cool. And quite interesting, I would say. Cool is a bit strong word for it. So there was an interview with Chris McGrath, who did the art. He was the artist for Halo Epitaph. He's also done a bunch of Halo art as well. So it was kind of a small interview there, which was quite interesting. Halo Epitaph. So this is the most up-to-date kind of news now. Here we are. So Halo Epitaph is out as of the Friday we are recording. I've started it. It has a story so far on Halo Waypoint, which is actually very handy. It's a great summary of from the very beginning to current Halo Epitaph, what the Didac has been up to. and where his main story points are, and it kind of summarizes each of them. So you could read that story so far and lash into Halo Epitaph with no problems, and you know everything you need to know. So I found that quite useful. So I'd say it was a great idea, obviously, because it's been a long time since we've had a Didact story. Steve, I don't know if you've picked this up yet or intend to.
So I listen on Audible. I did make sure I had it pre-ordered like the night before. I think it actually came out a little earlier in the week than Friday, possibly.
I think that's when it arrived on my doorstep. So I think it was a day or two before that, but I was surprised to see it on the Friday. I thought I wouldn't get it till this week. So I was like, oh, interesting. And you touched on Audible. I didn't know this, but I was like, it was a great idea if they did it, and they did do it. They got Keith Skarzarbajak, which I ruined. He does the voice actor of the Didact from Halo 4. He's narrating this book. That is the one thing that was going to make me want to listen to the Audible of this book. So I don't know, have you started it? No,
I haven't started it yet. I made sure it was ready to download in case I was ready to listen to it at work, and then I was just too busy at work to actually start it and be able to focus on what it was saying. Some of those Forerunner books are a little harder for me to listen to and like retain the information off of the first listen. Becomes a little bit of a slog.
The first chapter of this book, I was like, oh my god, yeah, it's been a while. There's just so many words in places you don't expect to see them. And it's like, that's not a real word, that's a made-up Halo word. And it's just casually being thrown around here like I'm supposed to remember what it means.
It's not just the words also, but it's the fact that like they're trying to tell us a story that exists within a world we know, but it exists within an entirely different like historical time period. So it may as well be a story we don't know, other than like the characters and where they will eventually end up. It's like the Forerunner trilogy was a challenge for me to listen to until we started hitting some of those current day payoffs. Once I started seeing where all the threads were going, it's like, oh, okay, now this is a little easier. I can connect the dots a little more clearly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not a big book. That's the one thing I will say to it. It's only about 200, almost 300 pages. So it's not huge in terms of a Halo book, but it's enough. So hopefully the audio is, I'd say it's worth a listen, given just that they have the voice actor doing it. So that's really cool. Firefight was refreshed with 5 new maps, which I'm great to see because I was getting a little bit bored because I was playing way too much for it with my brothers. But it was good to see get 5 new maps thrown in there. They have names. I didn't write them down. They're out there. They're new maps. You can go check it out if you need to on the Halo Waypoint article. There's a new Waypoint Chronicles, like I mentioned. This is called Halo Fireside. So this is again Spirit of Fire themed. So it's the Mate 2559, having emerged from the unknown after 28 years adrift in space. The crew of the UNSC Spirit of Fire find that new foes are not the only challenge they face on the Enigmatic Ark, but the past they left behind. It's about 25 minutes long. It only came out the other day. It'll be on our book clubs after Halo or Hippocratica. So I'm actually really interested to get to this one. Of all the other ones so far, their content hasn't really been like, oh, I'm feeling the burning need to go see these ones. Hence why I never actually listened to them up to now, and they came out last year. But we're catching up. So I love the Spirit of Fire's kind of storyline. So I'm very excited to go back and see what this is. But I guess based on what I've seen in the past, it probably won't be anything crazy. They don't do too much in the 25 minutes, but we'll see. So that's a touch point there. The most recent cannon fodder that did come out was 150, so this is kind of a significant one. Obviously, it's been going for some time. It was September 2014, I think, was the first episode they put out. So it's a solid period of time they've been putting out these cannon fodders. So there's a free armor. So most of the stuff I've mentioned already was mentioned in that inside the cannon fodder. So we had a free armor coating, Sundered Star, which is a Didact themed one. It's a super shiny one. It's pretty cool. Obviously, it fits on all cores, so go check it out. It's free. Log into the store and pick it up. They did some lore on the Senescent Ark. This was the arc that built the original rings, the big massive ones.
The greater arc,
if you will. Yes. So there's a bit of lore on that and some artwork, which is kind of nice. There's some Super Scarab lore. So this is the Scarab that was in Halo Wars. It was stationary. So they kind of touched on that in terms of what it is, where it comes from, what it was used, which is kind of nice. So they'd never done that before. They did put out a little. This is a weird one. So they said, okay, it's episode 150. Let's talk about Spartan 150. There was 150 original Spartan 2s. who was 150. They said, oh, it's Edgar 150, and he died in augmentation. And then you're kind of going, what? And then he goes, no, it's a joke. Here's the real lore. So it's like, oh, okay. It's weird the way you kind of read it. So he was part of Omega Team, which we've had before in the past, and they have shown up in the show. So that's kind of interesting. So they said an Omega Team came from core canon. There's 6 members. They're not locked in members, so they kind of change a lot. But they said, here is all of them. There's Leon, Edgar, and there was another one I'm blanking on, even though I was just looking at it. But they said the other 3 members are Viz, Riz, Vanek, and Kai. So who split off to become Silver Team. So it's also Silver Team in the Silver timeline, which is very interesting. So there you go. They exist. They're rare. They're there. They're still alive, as far as I remember, in core canon. No, they're not. Where are Omega? I don't know where Omega is. I don't think we really know where they are. Yeah, they were in Halo Wars 1. Characters. So, they're a while back.
Those characters are just, chilling on the list of names in the Halo Bible of, they're not dead, but we don't know their current whereabouts. So just whenever we need to pull a story out of nowhere, we can go pull from this list of names. Which is great, especially when they, forget about somebody for years and years and then come and bring them back after we thought, we forgot about them, or we just need a nice infusion of
Yeah, I'd like to see maybe if the show does really well, if they come back to the Silver Team in core canon, and we can just see the difference. That would be interesting to see what they would do with them. Okay. There was a bit of they touched on the volatile skimmer, the lore from that. It's not skimmer, the volatile skewer, which is a weapon variant of the skewer that's in Halo Infinite. So they touched upon where that came from essentially. So it's a little blurb. It's interesting. Nothing crazy there. We said this in the past, but Battleborn and Meridian Divide, who are the young adult novels written by Cassandra Rose, they are getting a re-release, which is interesting because there was supposed to be a 3rd book that never materialized. And I think I remember Cassandra essentially saying on Twitter when someone had asked her, saying no, internally 343 cancelled it. So it never came out. But they're re-releasing, they're getting new audiobooks, and the audiobooks themselves, I think it's the first time they're being done. There's 4 main characters and the perspective changes. So they've actually got 4 narrators, one for each main character, to actually narrate the 2 audiobooks. Which is a lot of work they're putting into this, which is kind of unusual.
A lot of work for a trilogy that had the 3rd one canceled. Yeah, it almost makes you wonder if they're gauging interest to see. Change their maybe. Minds.
I mean, it was an interesting thing to do, and I know we weren't. The books were okay. They weren't incredible. They were all right. In terms of Halo, they fit in with Halo lore pretty nicely. So we can go back and listen to the book clubs if you're interested in those and didn't pick them up. They're pretty short and sweet. They did a thing which I thought was very interesting. So they have a blog post, and the blog post itself is the official novel database of Halo books. So in it has a breakdown by sections of this is the most current book that is out as of today. And then here's the books that are in sections of, here's the Forerunner trilogy, here is the Forerunner saga, the Kilo 5 trilogy, here's the Forerunner saga, and it just lists each books, who wrote them, and links to going out and get them, as well as the blurbs on each book, which is really interesting. So I thought...
It sounds like the perfect resource for when one of your friends hears that you're way into Halo, and they're like, man, I kind of want to start with the books, but I hear there's a lot of them. I don't know where I should start or which ones to read when. It's here, look at this resource.
Now, it's not telling you in terms of timelines. It's just here's a book that's about these kind of cool characters that do this thing. So it's kind of almost sub-genreing. So you want to read an action book. Here's this one. You want to read a standalone one-off story. Here's a bunch of these books.
Which is fine. There's no perfect place to start in the timeline for Halo anyway. There really isn't a good way to go chronological order at this point. Because what do you start way in the beginning of the Forerunners if you're going chronologically? And then that just makes it way too difficult because you have to accept all these terms.
Yeah, you'd never get past the Forerunner.
You would have already known
books
about
if you did that. Most people wouldn't. You'd think, oh my god, this is the Halo universe, and you'd bow out pretty quick. So like you said, I think there's no right answer. I think it's wherever you are in terms of the games, start with the books surrounding that and just find yourself whatever you think you might like to know more of. There's a book out there for you because there's a lot of them. So I thought this was cool. This was an interesting resource to use. And the last kind of point I'll say is, like we touched at the beginning there earlier on, March is Women's History Month. So they put a post out with 50 characters kind of explored and touched upon. So I kind of went through this, 50 female characters. It's not all of them, but it's a shit ton of the Halo female characters. Some of them you didn't even realize were female, like grunts and warrior servants and Promethean knights and stuff like that. So I thought it was kind of interesting. If they have voice actors, they're named. Their main appearances in games and lore are named, what part of the content they come from. So it's pretty cool. It's got everything, comic book characters. It has characters from the audio dramas that were done. So it's an interesting read for sure. To go check that out. There's also a new skin armor out that I just saw a coding. It's a wild coding. It's pretty ridiculous. So if you're interested, it's free. Go check it out. Pick it up. And that's it. That's a lot of news. I might have missed other stuff out. There's all the stuff I left off. But Steve, anything you want to add to like all the kind of craziness stuff we just kind of talked about there? This is the way Halo lore is now. I think we're getting these drip feeds. But you know what I mean? They're okay. Do you know what I mean? They're okay.
Yeah, we have so much in-depth substance from over the years that there's just little gaps to fill here and there, little reference points. They can't give us too much without ruining their ability to just drop novels on us later on. And that's kind of really what we need, is we need novels and we need games, and we're kind of at a weird stalling point with the games, so this is the best we can do is with these little blog posts and Easter eggies here and there.
I know it's not great, but it's all we got. So we're making the most of it, so you might not see a new show for a while now. I might let it build up and then we'll come and talk about it, especially since we've had the most recent book and we don't know of any more books. We don't know of any more comics. After the TV show, we don't even know if we're going to get a season 3, so we don't even know what the next Halo game is going to be. We haven't heard.
Really all the current Halo hype is just the meat and potatoes of the TV show right now and the book coming out. Otherwise, it's going to be little drips of game stuff here and there.
Yeah, and probably a few more of these audiobooks they'll put out. So I don't mind them keep doing it, because more is better, so we might get some that we like, and they seem to be well themed, and they seem to be pretty well. They match whatever the current Halo lore theme is at the moment. So at the moment we're talking about Spirit of Fire, so the last two have been Spirit of Fire focused audio dramas. So I'm good with them. Keep it up, and hopefully we get some more content that we can make content out of soon.
Right. Well, we know next thing that's coming up is Cyber Showdown 3. So we'll see what kind of little content they drop with that. We know we've gotten some bits of lore here and there in regards to the Chimera Core. Technically, it's canon.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
The way they wrote it in. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. I'm sure we'll get more as far as like a blog post or two once that content update drops. I think that's this coming week or within the next couple of weeks. Not far out at all.
That's true. So we'll keep an eye on that. I don't really have anything else to say to anybody. For like our regular kind of shows that are coming out, so you'll probably get another main podcast of all show in a few weeks' time. I'll look to record another one if much has happened. There will be a book club, obviously, on the Halo Epitaph, so you look forward to that bad boy, probably at the end of the month. Mission Debrief is kind of on a hiatus for a period of time. All the games are done. We don't have too many days.
We have no missions to debrief.
That's true. Build up blocks, like I say, we have a little bit in the works because we know there is some Halo stuff coming up in the future, and all of our focus, as you can imagine, is with Oren on Halo TV Plus. So do go check that out. There are 2 episodes that we record for every episode of the show, a commentary that you can watch in time, as well as an analysis that comes after it. It's a great format. I really enjoyed doing it. The show season 2 is really good, so I'd say go check it out, guys. I've subscribed to Paramount Plus for 1 month to do it. There's probably a lot of people like that. I imagine it's worth checking out. Like I mentioned, there's also HS Pro Talk, their show. Jocelyn will cover all of the competitive Halo stuff. So keep an eye on their most current episodes. They'll break down pretty much everything that's going on in the HCS scene at the moment. And they have community days, as Steve says, they're worth checking out. You get to play with a bunch of cool people and play some Halo together. That's all I really have at the moment. Steve, is there anything else you'd like to touch upon that I might have missed? Or you want to shout out anything at the moment?
I think we just about have everything covered. We hit our game news. We hit our external lore news. We touched on our show. That's pretty much about it. We're just waiting for this week's episode of the show to come out, and we got to do book club.
Yeah, it's exciting. We have a book club. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Steve. Like I mentioned at the top of the show, I want to thank our Patreons. They're amazing. Thank you so much. A shout out to our website, which is haloevolved.co. You get all of our shows there, all of our unique feeds. There's tons of stuff to see and do over there. So please go check it out. Ian put in a lot of work.
We also do our Friday live chats.
Oh, yes, we've started doing that again. Yeah,
well.
yeah, shout out to that, Ian. And fair play to Ian and Steve, the two of you, for keeping that alive and setting that up again. So there are Discord live chats for our patrons. Go check it out. The guys play, they talk, they chat, they respond, they do stuff. So it's pretty good. So thank you so much. And with that, I've been your host, David. Until next time, evolved.
Evolved.